I just told them I've been working in project management my whole life and not been, let's say, coming from one specific sector, but just seeing project management as a profession. My last assignment was at ASML, which is a high-tech company. I worked there for 3.5 years, being busy professionalizing project management. I was assigned as head of PMO with not a specific assignment, because PMO is part of finance, and finance doesn't really have a view on project management, well, it didn't have there, and usually doesn't, in my personal opinion. So I just, in that company, I just looked around and what do project managers need? And I'll come back to what I actually did there, and started building communities of practice. So actually, what I'm telling here has a high relationship to what I've done there, so I'll try to give examples from that part. I stopped after 3.5 years because I created quite a change, but if you change a lot, you have to leave at a certain point because you will be the big, I would say that, block between the continuity of the change. You break it yourself. So it's like you will be the biggest risk of the change you created. So I had to leave. Was my own opinion, and else I would have stayed forever because actually ASML is the best company to work forever. But anyhow, I left and started to write a book. And I wrote, I don't know how this one works, let's try it. I wrote this book, in Dutch. And it is describing actually the continuum between the very linear project management and iterative. I really resent the word traditional because I don't agree that linear project management is traditional. It depends on the project that you need. That's why the book is called Project Management with Mouth. Agile is very interesting, but it's not a project management methodology, that's one. And of course, iterative project management is good for some projects, and maybe more now than in the past. But, well, that's at the current moment, I'm commissioner at IPMA, so the other project management association, IPMA or corporate anyway. I do that for 2 days a week because I decided that I wanted to do a personal project and it has to do with the project of the other picture. I've never done any sports in my whole life, and I decided I wanted to do a whole triathlon. So that's kind of an objective that's far away and kind of a challenge. So I can't work full time. I really need to train. So that's my idea. And that's why I wanted to work part time on doing this. And this, of course, links very much to what I did at ASML, and it's completely to what I'm trying to do today. So what was the description in the conference was actually, so I wonder what your expectations are, because actually you already said that presentation, your expectation is completely different from the what happened during the meeting. So I really would like to know what are your expectations, what would you like to get out of this meeting, so that maybe I can change or at least adapt it or say, well, you can go. Anyway, you, of course.
I told it already. For the group. Yeah, but for me, it's how can you bring sharing your best practices more to life in your practical part of PMO. But all project managers are doing their own job, and how can you share more and learn from each other? So that was what I found to find in Gilman.
Indeed, what I would like to talk about. Any other expectations that you would like to share? Yeah?
No, I think it's quite similar to what you say. Project managers often somewhere stationed with not a lot of their peers around. And it's useful to share that knowledge and to find ways to improve development, quality, and also feeling of well-being, because talking to peers will help.
Get rid of the lonely feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think some projects are really focused on delivering a successful project, and community practice, from my point of view, is outside the project. So how do you get that in, or how do you leverage on that. And from a project management perspective, when you are working for a client internally and doing projects for the client, it's there for me makes more sense. I work for suppliers, let's say, we always do projects for customers, and then you're really on an ad hoc basis, so the only communities I see there is internally sharing knowledge with members within the project. More
within the project?
No, within our company, not per se for the clients we're doing projects for. So I will see what you're
Okay. Anybody else? Does it kind of fit the stories you hear? Let me see. I just looked at the description, and there are some words that really I would like to focus on. I picked up this definition because it was in some study about community building, and I agree very much with it. And so it's about actually, it's about sharing concern or passion. There needs to be something in common. If you talk about community, there needs to be something in common. So that's one of the characteristics we have to look about, because if you put a lot of people that have nothing in common together, they will have nothing. Well, might be good drinking together, but there is no common concern. You want to create an interaction on an ongoing basis, and that's one of the most challenging parts probably, because you can't create a one-off interaction. But how do you create the perpetual motive? And that's really difficult. You always need a motor somewhere. I'll come back to that one as well. And it says success depends primarily on voluntary engagement. It needs to be voluntary. People really need to do it for themselves. If you don't have voluntary engagement, there will be no community working, because then it will be, in Holland we say pulling a dead horse, or what's the expression? It will be too much work, and you will be pumping in energy all the time. It won't work. It's about learning. You need to do that because you want to. And then there's something about internal leadership and the emergence of internal leadership. That's a difficult one as well. So it's not about hierarchy. It really is not. It actually is maybe even the opposite. Come back to this as well. And very important one as well is informality and autonomy. And the informality means that it's not about making a structure. I remember a few years ago I was asked to review a book on learning in projects and from projects, and it was all about structure. It was creating databases, putting all the information of every project in the database, and then forcing everybody to read what was in the database before they started to do a project. And it was about forcing. And I'm sure that you recognize that. Everybody thinks, oh, we need a database, we put everything in, and then the database is full. And that then in itself is a huge effort already, because you have to really drag people by their hairs to put the information in the database. And then nothing happens. There is no energy in it. It's just a database. So how do you create the energy? That's mainly what it is about. Okay, this is a very ugly here, but I couldn't find a more beautiful one. Actually, here's a ugly. But about the shared concern of passion, that's a difficult one, because if somebody starts like, okay, you need to build a community, you can't start building it. You have to find what is really the driver. So is there a common concern? So if we talk about building communities of practice for project managers, which it can be done for anything, of course, but we talk about project management, so there needs to be something in project management people are really concerned about. So what is the thing that people are concerned? Maybe there's no pain, but you have to find out if there is a pain, or if there is, and if there is a pain, there is passion, because you can't feel pain if you don't care. So it's looking from what does really hurt. For example, ASML, the first half year I was there, the only thing I did was do workshops with people and find out what was good and what could be better. So actually I did the stop and improve workshops. But I actually call them keep improve. And I did that with all kinds of groups, project managers, PMO, principals, all kinds of parties, stakeholders of the project management. So what do you want to keep? What do you think are we doing really well? And what do we need to improve in project management? And the funny thing is, everybody can complain. But what is actually what we're doing very well at the moment? That's a difficult question. People can't say that. It's difficult. And I did about, I think, 40 workshops. And every workshop, 20, 30, sometimes 40 people. And they had these discussions about what are we doing very well, what should we do better. And I got a huge list. And the funny thing, it's not about the list, it's about the feeling you get when you see all this data. It's like, what is really our concern? They didn't feel taken seriously. You know, if you look at a company where project management really is seen as a profession, people can be proud of being a project manager. ASML is a very high-tech company, so people are very proud of their technical competences, but project management was something for you did that on Tuesday and you're kind of ashamed that you're doing it. So one of the main things that came out is we need to be proud of our profession. And we need others to reward and see us seriously as being project managers. And of course there was a lot of complaining about procedures and processes and whatever, but those are not the most important ones. It's more about the continuous growing of people and working together and being proud of work. And the one thing they said was really good was their mindset. And that was actually, everybody said, yeah, the mindset of the project leads, that's the best, because they always take care of everything. They always fight for the result. So that was a good thing, because they could be proud of that. So we gave that a lot of attention. But main thing is to find out what is the pain and what is the passion, what they really like. And make sure that you don't fit in on your own opinion. Because if you start yourself, and you probably have an opinion and you think that's the right thing. And how do you throw away your own opinion and just listen? Only listen. That's it. So that's step one. If you really find it, then it's create the right environment. And the right environment is about trust, respect. Because we're talking about communities that have to emerge and to grow. And this is really difficult because we, we tend to create something with structure and process, and we want to, form it in some way. But it really is about trust. And we need chaos. I don't know, do you recognize that? If you come, a very different example. If you go to somebody's home, and the home is very clean, and everything is very structured, don't you feel that it's kind of a bit scary to sit on the couch because you might, you might change something? If you come in a home that's kind of messy, you just, oh whatever, it's a mess anyway. You can't feel at home easier. Do you recognize that feeling?
It depends on where your uncle comes from.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, what's the difference for you then?
Okay, so if you also come from that kind of environment where you keep your home very clean, because you are also used to that kind of feel, you know how to relate to that home that is very clean. Yes, so I think it depends on where your reaction to that clean home depends on where you're coming from.
And in what situation is your creativity stimulated the most? Just try to think, where the best ideas, do they come in a very structured environment, or when it's...
I'm just answering your question from a non-technical level. But I think that in a more unstructured environment, you are able to more sort of not so structured, like not rigid. You are kind of free to do more than that rigid kind of situation.
And you need freedom.
Yes,
That's the most important thing.
But not too much freedom to some people. It should be about.
Yeah, but it's true. It depends on the person, of course. What I did once, I had a group of, and that's not ASML related, a group of pharmaceuticals, and they're kind of a little bit rigid. I don't know if they're pharmaceuticals. But they came in good time. But they were kind of, I invited them to do a project startup at my place. And actually I was rebuilding at that time. So there was no home. It was a building place, kind of. And the guys came in and was like, okay, this is kind of strange. So the first thing that happened, of course, the ties went off because it didn't fit with the setting. And there was a dog running around and stuff, and it was like, okay, it's strange. The funny thing that creates a different mindset and the opportunity to think of things that are different than when you are in your normal setting. So ideas generate in a very completely different way. The plan we made with those people is a plan that has been current for a year. So the whole project really, we made a very good plan at that moment because they could think ahead of today and of tomorrow just because the setting was different. Can you feel the difference between we're here, if we were in a bar on the beach, it would be completely different. Oh, I take my shoes off and that changes something as well. Maybe not for you if you don't look, but it's crazy that, if I've been very formally, the setting is different. So that helps. You need to create a setting that's informal, that gives people maybe a bit of irritation, like, okay, this is not why I really want it, I want to change it, I want to do something. They take initiative. Because if everything is okay, people don't do anything. It's okay. Just sitting and doing nothing. You need to create a disbalance. Because everybody tries to get back to a balanced moment. If you create a disbalance, people start moving. Of course, not too much, and that depends on the setting and the culture of the company. Highly creative companies can deal with much more disbalance than structured. So this is an important thing. And of course, if you talk about voluntary engagements, there is one thing that is important to always realize. Most professionals really like to share their knowledge. They really like to talk about it. But not everybody wants to be put on a stage. So try to find ways in which they really want to share it, because you want that knowledge to be given to somebody else. So how can you create a situation in which people really want to share their knowledge? And they always want to. Some people are shy, and some are not. Some want to write it down. Others, you just interview them and film them. Others put them on stage. But they always want to share their knowledge because they're proud of it. If they are professionals, if they like their work, they will be willing to speak. Sometimes it's easier to just give them, how do you call it, here in Mexico, a coaching.
But that's, I think, also part of it. What is the kind of community of practice that you're interested in and want to have?
Yeah.
What's the kind of roles that you have? And I must say, within Signify, we have a dozen of things to do. And of course, in a community of practice, we do have the community events. We're looking at ways how we can revitalize that.
Yeah.
That can be via presentation that is on the spot, it can be via webcast. But we also do have to review some training materials that we have.
Yeah.
We do have community sites that need to be updated with new information. We do need people to write blogs. So I think that especially within project management, you always have areas where you can help the professionals in sharing their knowledge and being active and motivated.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is that if you help them, and that is actually your role as a community manager, is to help people. It's not to force them or to do it yourself, but try, you know, okay, you are a specialist in, I don't know, some control thing or whatever. I know you would like to share your lessons, but maybe you didn't find a way yet to make sure. So I'm just trying to find out what is best for you so that we can give you something and I'll help you. And if you want to write it down, okay, maybe I can help you to write it. Okay, I'll interview you and I'll write it down for you. So it means that you do all kinds of different things. I can just film you, or maybe I don't know, put you on stage and interview you because you don't want to tell it because it takes too much time to prepare. You don't have time to prepare. So let me ask you questions. You just answer. Just be yourself. Another way to share knowledge as well is, for example, have we say that the younger ones that are being trained, let them interview the experts and let them share what they learned from the experts. The funny thing is that not only the younger ones learn, but the experts themselves as well. What I did, for example, at ASML is the beginning project managers in their basic course. I asked them to ask the experienced ones what actually stakeholder management was and how they worked on it. I got phone calls from those experienced pros. What do I need to say? Look at the website, we've made a whole theory thing and you can read that and then you know what to say. So that's a way to make sure that the ones that are experienced that don't want to learn, that they are forced to learn without knowing that actually that was the trick. How do you create a principle to learn? Usually it's the sponsor, or principal, or whatever you want to call it, is the one that is not very good at project management. One of the biggest problems in projects is actually that the sponsor doesn't take his role. You can't send him to training because he won't go. So how can you, with a kind of a trick, create a way to let him learn from others? You can have the younger ones interview. So it looks like you are the expert and just tell us and then they have to prepare. And they get completely stressed. It's fun. It's just, you know, funny tricks, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's manipulation in one way, but not in a bad way, because it's for the good. And one of the important things, of course, is spread successes of others. So you're giving your presentation. I will make a huge PR machine out of it, because building communities of practice is 80% PR. It's nothing. And that sounds a bit crazy, but actually it is, because you have to make sure that everybody that does something good, put it in the news, put it in the spotlight. Well, if you don't want to be in the spotlight, I won't put you in the spotlight. So what actually do you want? Maybe he just wants to grow his network. How can I create a way in which he can grow his network by spreading his knowledge? Or maybe he just wants his boss to reward him for the fact that he knows something about it. You know, how can we give people credits for what they do? And that's kind of a machine. If you build that, then it starts to move. Because other people see that people get the rewards they want. But, oh, I know something about scope management. Shall I share that? But I don't know how. Can you help me? And it starts moving. It's PR. And that's the way you make it contagious. But then again, it will stop if the machine is not pulled the whole time. Does that relate a bit to your own practices? Then we have the other thing. You have to create hunger, create an appetite. So you have to, it needs to be fun. You give something and people get curious, get hungry. And that's not very easy. So you have to kind of dive into the world of your community. What makes them interested? At ASML, at a certain point, it all started with one big event, and the big event was actually a trick as well, because I had done all these interviews, and I knew there was this population of a few hundred people that were interested in project management, but were all lonely in their profession. Probably privately not, but they were all feeling like I'm the only one with these problems. I'm the only one that's always having these problems with these sponsors, and I'm the only one that has scope creep all the time. And they all felt lonely. That's strange, because they all have the same problems. So I thought, well, I want to organize a conference, a big event in which they can all meet. But if you ask for money for something like that, you won't get it, because it's new. So how on earth do I get money to organize an event for, I don't know, 200 people without having budget? So I thought maybe I'll organize a training of 1 day. And I'll let people subscribe and ask them 200 euros for that 1 day. That's not very expensive for a day of training, isn't it? And I got 250 people, 200 euros each. That's a budget, isn't it? So with that budget, I hired a great place, I hired a few speakers, and organized a meeting. And actually nobody knew how big it would be. They only knew that they were going to 1 day of training, and it was about project management, and they didn't know there were 250 other people coming. So that was a huge success, because they didn't know that project management was a profession. My main objective there was to show that really outside of Isabel there were a lot of people working in Brussels. So I invited Gerard Stefan, who was one of the project leads of the Noord-Zuidlijn. And he told about the big ship they had with the houses in Amsterdam that went, how do you call it, verzakken? All that, yeah, I'm not going left. Well, they were digging a hole and then the houses were, whatever. So he told about his problems in his project, and about stakeholder management, and about the effects that it had on budget and on timing. And all those project leads that were there that never knew that actually project management was a profession were there with their mouths open, just listening to somebody that was not an ASML person but had a project that was even more complex than theirs. They were really amazed. And amazed there were so many people. So the energy of that day was enormous. And that created the very first seed for, okay, we are in it together. But if I would have asked permission to organize a conference for 200 project managers, I would never have gotten it. And that's the thing. I think community building is not something you can do with a top-down support. It is a bottom-up thing. And that makes it kind of complex, because you don't have money, you don't have resources, you have nothing. You only have passion, the will to do it. And what I see many people say, yeah, but you did it, but you got the position. I said, what position? I did have no position at all. I just, yeah, I had my own hours. And so you have to be creative about finding solutions and getting that on. I assume who of you is building, is working on communities? But what are the challenges or you are encountering at the moment?
Basically to keep the wheels turning, because I do see that I can establish it, I can run it for a year, and then you've sold something, so the concern you're addressing. So then after a year, we've given something back to the community in whatever form or shape, and then actually I stop it, and I'm on the search for the next, say, concern or issue that's there. So for me, it's how do I keep the wheels spinning?
What do you mean, give it back to the community? I don't know.
So basically, it's very practical. Working at Fokker, that's about 100 project managers. So we've got 6 communities of excellence there, and one is going after risk management. And they will pick one of the issues about risk management, and I want them also to deliver something which is available to the rest of the communities, not only for themselves, but also to spread it to the rest of the people. So I want something tangible, and we create a calendar and that to spread the information. But that's what I would like to have, not only for the continent, but also for the rest. and then how to bring that to the next step. So what I've also seen is that if you drag on for 2-3 years with such a community, people get bored and they feel like, okay, I've got a lot of stuff to work on, so I try to time bound it in that sense.
I hear something that surprised me. Is anybody have a reaction on this or question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the art is to keep fire in the community. So you need very good sponsorship, high level sponsorship that commits itself to durable commenting, durable input.
Yeah, you won't get it.
Sorry?
You won't get it.
Well, it's the essence. If you don't,
I don't agree.
Okay.
But I say this on purpose because you won't get it.
Yeah, you need some form of let's say it's a high level discipline or proper alignment. Somebody who brings input into the community.
Keep it on, but let's relate to, because that is not your question, is it?
My point was, if you have a community for 2-3 years, I think it's evident that the fire will be gone. Communities are not meant to be endless. So I think it's very important with the community that you have an end in mind. The community will lose its purpose at the end of the day, someday.
Yeah, but that is precisely, you're talking about purpose and you're talking about objectives as well. And I wonder if that is, because that was not what I was working on. Because you're talking about actually a task group, something with a purpose. And of course that ends. That's kind of a project. That's not a community.
And that is also what my concern is, especially with your remark, you need a very strong sponsor. My feeling is the moment you have a sponsor, your efforts will be hijacked and will be used for a certain management goal rather than the interest of that group in improving performance.
Yeah.
So sometimes you want to keep things very low profile and very useful for the community that is in there. In the end you want to show it, but as soon as you have a high-level sponsor, often they say, okay, then we can improve productivity or drive the quality, and then you might lose the purpose of and the fire of that group what it started.
I see that I only have 5 minutes. This is really a very important point because I really disagree that you need. I'll explain why. Because if you make it a top-down thing, you have no community. You need to have a bottom-up community.
But just to follow up there, it's not about top-down or having a high-profile person is not necessarily hierarchical, high-profile. It can be a discipline lead or a person who is specifically interested or.
Okay, so then maybe you're talking about. Let me see this one. It's about community leadership, right?
It is someone who symbolizes the fire, or whatever the fire.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, but that I agree, because you need a catalysator, how do you call that? Somebody that has a passion in it. So you need somebody that it is about generating inspiration. It's about keeping the motor turning. But it's absolutely not about being the boss. But the moment you have a boss, and that's what I'm kind of hesitating in your example, it's like you want something to be delivered and you say, I want. It's not about what you want, it's about if the community doesn't want it, it won't accept if you force it. And that makes it a very, very heavy thing to pull, because that's a dead horse thing. For example, I need to be short so that makes it. We had a lot of formats, processes, procedures and stuff that people really resented. They didn't work. But the management wanted to have some control. By making sure that people say, okay, you have all those processes, you don't have to use them, create a new one that works. Just take ownership of the whole process thing and change it. But you don't have to report on it, just do whatever you think is necessary. So you make it, but it means that the management needs to let go and leave them. Let them take ownership. But that's difficult because it's not about control. And that really is contradictory to what we try to do. We always try to somehow, we want transparency. What do you prefer? A very good project that's completely not transparent, or do you want very much transparency about a very bad project? Yeah, personally, I prefer a very good project, and I don't know if it's going well, but I wanted to. Of course, that's two extremes.
Yeah.
But what we see is that we are moving towards the control extreme very much more than what is needed to make the project go well, instead of what is needed to help the management to feel comfortable with the project. Because the last thing is really not relevant, is it?
Well, but by reporting regularly, you also increase the opportunity to spot risks. That if they, I mean, if risks are controlled on time, so they don't materialize in an issue, then you can avoid the project from going wrong, right? If there is something that has not been spotted, the PM doesn't see it either, and then eventually, no.
Yeah, we are talking about project management again and our communities.
Oh, yeah, no,
but I agree with you. The funny thing is,
when you were talking about a project,
what do you think about the difference between a mentality about risk-oriented and opportunity management?
you were talking about a project, is what I
but project management, communities for project management, and then we relate. What I found out is if you're working on communities, risk-oriented way of thinking does not work, because you're killing your own. Now let me say, if you think in opportunities, you're always looking for ways to grab and to grow. You don't think about what could go wrong, because it really is not irrelevant. You want to grow the community, so you have to look at opportunities. And one thing we learned in project management is that you always have to link to an objective, and you preferably have one objective. If you could try to build communities, you want to link to as many objectives as possible. That's a different. So it's if you, for example, I had here. We don't have time. So what I did in ASML is create a lot of things. So we had some a learning journey, so the whole training thing, but that needs to link to the project management day, the big event I talked about. Because if you organize workshops here, they need to be done by the people, and it needs to link to this one. We have a newsletter, and in the newsletter you talk about this and about that, and of course you create events. So everything is related to everything. If you think in risks, you're looking at what is going wrong, and that's a different mind. You can't do both.
no, but because that was only for a project, around the life cycle of a project.
Yeah.
And this is different.
Yeah.
So,
No,
that
no.
was not related to this. This is
The problem is we have so much short time now. We work on the leadership. And I think very important is this thing. It's about action. Somebody needs to be the driver, and that is not the boss. Of course, if you have a high-level person that is very motivated to help, that's okay. But it's something different than if it comes bottom up. The event I talked about at ASML, this one, the project management day, it was 250 people, but the third time was 600. The management wanted to own that one. They said, we want to review, and that was what you were talking about, we want to review the program beforehand. I said, don't wait. You can come if you want to, but you have not reviewed the program. It's the community itself who decides what's in the program.
But I think in this case, or you need to be really careful with what the community thinks of, and they think that is best on their expertise, and what is the standard and way of working that you agreed upon within your company. Because if you say, perhaps if they have good suggestions, but if you present it like a day like that, and you have a setting in which all project managers are there, and you're there saying, hey, this is how we do projects, or this is how we do this, because we as a community think that's the best way. Still, I think needs to be in line with the whole framework which is set up within the company. What
is the worst thing that can happen?
That they come up with approaches or ways of working that don't align with the vision of the company.
Yeah, and if that's the case, what should you do then? Because if they come up with something that's not aligned with, maybe that's for a reason. Maybe you really need to talk then.
No, I understand, and then it's a point of discussion, and it's good to evaluate and put it into the new procedure or way of working. But I think if it's presented that big, it can be leading to the assumption that this is the agreed way ASML is doing projects, because it's presented there by someone.
I wouldn't be afraid of that. The funny thing is you want people to get in that will. So if they feel that they are in charge of their own future, they will take responsibility. If they're not anymore, they have to align with all kinds of things they don't agree with, they won't take it. See the difference in alignment is just secondary. And if you really want a community to move, you have to take them seriously and believe and trust that they will come with the right things. And that involves leaving the structure and the control away. And that's it. But I'm personally, of course, I don't know what is. But I'm very much convinced that the only way to really make it move is to let go and give freedom. And as an organization, you have a purpose, you have a mission. If you have that and everybody's aware of that, everybody will move kind of in the same direction. It really doesn't care if some people walk that way or that way, as long as it's in the same kind of overall direction. There is nothing that goes wrong if it's a bit different. But it's really about letting go. And that's the same thing with this. If you create, I didn't have time, but if you create heroes, just, show which are the people that really give the community what the community wants. So let the community decide who are their heroes. We don't have time to go on that one. I don't know where the 14 minutes did go anyway. Any questions? Because it was kind of chaotic because of the 5 minutes. You probably don't agree with what I said, so.
Well, yeah, partially, so I don't know.
Yeah, but it really is difficult, and you need a passionate person, and you need to let go. And sometimes you have to go against management. And I really did have a huge mind of fight.
I'm in a big favor of communities. I've been a consultant 8 years and been part of multiple communities in which you share knowledge, etc. And it was really helpful and still is. But from, I think, like I say here, that best initiatives should be put in the spotlight, and one of the things you can do is take such an initiative and make it part of the standards or procedures or whatever, and that's one way of doing it, but just leaving it.
You think in structures, but just putting somebody in the spotlight already creates a different mindset. And
yeah.
Any reactions from you? Well, that's probably the only thing I can give you. You didn't say very much, did you?
I found a few items that I think I could incorporate in my organization.
I need to stop that, I think. Okay. Anybody? Sorry for the...
I had one question, and that it's something that I saw in a few presentations. That at a certain stage, large companies find out that they have a project management community, and that's what you say earlier. People were not really recognized as a profession. Why is it that a company like ASML, where a lot of work is done in a project type of way, does not see that or does not recognize that?
Well, it takes time to build to a certain level. So at ASML they didn't know, and now they have a very lively community, and now they see it as a profession. But yeah, it needs to start somewhere, and of course it's technical people, and they're working from the perspective of physicians, and they're working together, and it becomes more complex. And then somebody thinks, well, maybe we should make a planning. And then at a certain point, well, oh yeah, we can't spend all the money, so we need to somebody needs to take care of the money. And it starts like that. At a certain point it evolves, and then that's sure that we have somebody who's taking care of all those things. And then suddenly you get project managers and they don't know it's called that way. And then
So
suddenly
really
you know it's a profession.
So really transitioning to a project management organization that has a real structure set up, a portfolio, etc. The transition to that.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay kind of far away from structure at the moment.
Yeah, I see that.
And but yes, there are some structures to create. But one thing why ASML is so important to not structure too much, because the basic of every project within ASML is innovation. Innovation needs creativity, and structures and creativity just don't relate very well. And of course, you need structure for the routine stuff and things that are repetitive. But please do not structure projects too much, because you just kill the innovation. And that really is a tension that's huge, because if
No, so finish first and then.
no, that's a balance. And of course, you need some structure because you don't want to make the same mistakes every time. That you want to do it, but you know, if you have a lot of processes, nobody will adhere to any process, and that is what we saw happening at ASML. Everybody created processes and more processes, and nobody did anything with them. So stop it, throw it away.
Yeah, if they were not recognized in the as a profession, I'm just wondering, why were you hired in that company?
I was not hired to do that.
What was your, then your
I was head of PMO, and I didn't know precisely what PMO was. And you know, I was like, okay, you don't have an assignment, so I actually really, my assignment was find out what they need, do whatever they need, and then define whatever your role should be in that context. That was my assignment, nothing more than that. And that is perfect. Because I've been independent for more than 20 years now anyway. So, you know, what is better than just have an assignment? I had no budget, no people, I had no anything. And at a certain point, you have this whole community that screams out that they want to be professionals and want to be seen as project management professionals. So you have a huge backup. So you just go to management and say, look, I have 600 people here, they want something, help me, give them what they need. At first, and suddenly you can show that, and then you have an event like the one I told you about, and some people from management were there, and they were looking at, what's happening here? And actually, they really, two of the most important ones in the management, they stood on stage and said, sorry, we didn't know you. They really, literally said, sorry, that we didn't give you respect. Well, I asked them to, but they did it. That, you know, and then from the beginning, it's like, okay, they see us. But I think every situation is different. And I think it's about, you know, feeling and a lot of work.